The grasp of the earth possesses the mighty builders, perished and fallen. The hard grasp of earth until 100 generations of people have departed.
This time on Ruins, we're going way back to the beginning. We're going to Beltany Circle.
Beltany Stone Circle is one of Ireland's oldest stone circles. A stone circle is a structure with stones in a circle, commonly found in Ireland, the rest of the British Isles, and Northern Europe.
So what do we know about Beltany Circle? Well, for one thing, we know that it's thousands of years old, although the exact age, of course, eludes us. It's difficult to date things like this, and it's not an exact science. But there are far more things that we don't know. For one thing, we don't know who built it. The families and clans that we know now did not begin to exist until the beginning of the Christian era, right about the 4th and 5th centuries in Ireland. And since writing wasn't invented until around that time, what family, tribe, or nation would have built this remains lost to history. We also don't know exactly what it would have looked like. See, the lumpy ground here indicates that there were actually many more rocks stacked in the middle of this stone circle, but they were taken away over the years to build other things like walls and houses. Also, treasure hunters were known to root around in this area in the 17th, 18th centuries, looking for whatever ancient treasures they could find. Word is, mostly what they found was bones. We're not even sure why it was made. Generally, it's thought to have some kind of spiritual significance. But also, there must have been an artistic edge to it, too. If we notice the cup marks here, that is an ancient Stone Age form of art. So clearly, there would have been some kind of artistic expression involved in the creation of this. Others think that it was some kind of market or forum where the skilled of that era would have sold their wares, idols, axes, and other Stone Age essentials. Another popular assertion about this place is that it has a connection to the Druids. Well, that's technically true. It's important that we first understand what we mean when we talk about Druids.
Druids have become slightly distorted in the popular imagination. When we think of Druids now, we tend to associate them with the neo-pagan religious group, which has based itself on their old teachings. But in actuality, a Druid was not an adherent to a religion, but actually the leader of it. They were the important religious figures in various tribes all over the Celtic world. Modern historians compare Druids to medicine men or shamans that we find in tribes from North America to Siberia and farther south. So while that does tell us that a Druid would have been involved, it doesn't tell us what it was for. So the mystery continues.
As we said earlier, bones have been found here. What were those for? Were those the bodies of those who were sacrificed? There are some reports of human sacrifice being committed by the people in this area. Or were they the bodies of those to be exalted? Was this a sort of, maybe we could compare it to a church graveyard? We really don't know, and because those bones have not been studied, it's hard to say when they were put there. So maybe they had nothing to do with the original intent of this building, but were put there later because it was associated with something spiritual or significant. Some people think that this was a calendar, and that does align with the basic facts. If we see how this stone, which was set up to the southeast, it aligns with a stone over on this side and then another stone on the other side of the circle, and in turn line up with the sunrise during the winter solstice. But we have to consider that that might not have been the only reason why they built this circle. It may have had other connotations as well. And we also have to factor in that coincidence is a possibility, and I'm standing in sheep dung. Did you do that? There's sheep over there. Sort of part of the charm of this place. It's a bit of a hidden gem. He's coughing up a storm. So just because we don't fully understand the stone circle doesn't mean that we can't learn from it. For example, we learned that this must have been a very important spot. Rafo was, according to archaeological evidence, a very wealthy and important spot at that time. So it makes sense that they would have built their monument in this area. Now, why exactly was it so important isn't 100% clear. It may have been because this spot was near somebody very important, like a druid or a local chief, or it may have simply been a good central location for those involved. But there's also a slightly more mythical answer. See, according to legend, the tomb of Itha, the uncle of Ireland's first conqueror, lies on a hill that Beltany overlooks. Now that's, of course, a much later legend, but it is possible that it reflects some truth, that there may have been somebody very important buried nearby. It also reminds us that since the earliest humans walked this part of the earth, they were organized. They had to quarry these stones, they had to transport them, they had to dig the foundation trenches. It was an incredible amount of work and logistics that would have required a high level of expertise and organization. Savage men, these were not. It also reminds us that humans just can't help ourselves. No matter where we are, we have to build things. Now, of course, we're not the only beings on this planet that feel that impulse. There's beavers that build dams and bees that build hives. But when you look at something that an animal made, you can usually deduce its purpose. Humans are not so simple. If you look at this or an obelisk or a sphinx and you think, why? And sometimes there's not an easy answer. Sometimes there's many answers. And sometimes, like Beltany, we just don't know.
But it was probably a calendar.